Alrighty. We are. Give me a few seconds. I think we're live. For the Grind Mastermind episode 12. It is July 17th, 2023. Chris, how in the world are you?
I'm good. I just got back from New York at the beginning of the week. I spent 1 week in New York City, Manhattan, enjoy some time off. It's been a while. So the plan was not to take my laptop. So I decided just to take my iPad, right, to check emails and maybe to do some quick things. And the faith wanted that I left my iPad on the airplane when I landed. so so I ended up not even using my app, but it was awesome. And then I got back in touch with the with the airline and collected my iPad on my way back.
Okay. So
So it's been
logistically
perfect.
you got it all figured out. That's good.
Yeah, yeah,
Sometimes things happen for a reason, as they say, right?
exactly. It's a sign from destiny.
Yeah. That's awesome. And you were in London too, right?
I went to London just to meet up with our friend Sergey, but just one day, like back and forth.
Yeah.
It was nice connecting. I last saw him when I was there in Toronto in 2019, right? So it's been a
Right.
while.
What did you think of New York City?
Oh, New York, loved it. Yeah, it's really cool. Especially, I can compare it to other places in the US. Compared to Los Angeles, I would probably say there's a lot more going on in New York, definitely. It's also, people are also a bit nicer, probably. But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'm not used to like a big city, but
Mm-hmm.
New York is
It's
it's
one
like
of the
the
biggest.
top of the top, yeah, and I have a lot of stuff going on. I kind of what I tried to do was kind of trying to be there as a someone living there, not like a tourist. So I kind of avoided all most of the touristy stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
still woke up at 5 a.m., went for runs in Central Park every day with my brother, did
Nice.
some burpees. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I kind of imagined myself living there, kind of immersed myself in the city. It was pretty cool.
That's great. That's great.
What about you? How are you?
I got back from my bachelor party last night. I'm wiped. So this will be
I can see
not
from your face.
not that I'm the most energetic person to begin with, but I'll be a little lower energy than normal today. But anyways, we can jump in. We can get the business stuff going, and might
Because
be a slightly
the grind never
shorter.
waits.
Yeah, yeah. All right, you want to jump in? Let me pull up from last week. Chris had to number one, enjoy the vacation. Number two, try the podcast video experiment. And number three, restructure the ClickUp setup. So maybe take us through the
So,
update and how those
uh,
went.
so I actually this weekend I also went through my quarterly review where I basically reviewed Q2 and kind of planned for Q3. So I couldn't get to the podcast yet just because I'm finishing the book that I so this new idea of a podcast that I had was basically as part of my YouTube strategy, the fourth video that I post every month is going to be just audio basically, and I'm going to repurpose that as a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that I got from the founders podcast is basically to go through either biographies or books about advertising, copywriting, copywriters, and yeah, basically kind of read my notes, go through these books, and kind of connect the dots, connect ideas for the audience. And it's also a pretty interesting project just for me as well, just for learning, my personal learning, and to increase my knowledge on my craft, basically.
Right.
So I'm finishing this book, which is called The Real Madmen, and it's nice because it goes through
The real
kind of
Mad Men.
kind of the Mad Men, yeah, like the show, TV show. It's
Yeah.
basically goes through the entire history of like 20th century advertising, um, yeah, and goes through the evolution, the creative revolution, the 60s, 70s, and compares it to the TV show. Like, was it real? Was it fake? And how was it different? And I'm going to use that as the pilot episode for the podcast, just because it's a nice introduction and a nice overview of the whole advertising scene and how it evolved.
Right.
So I'm kind of, I just need like the last 50 pages to finish. And hopefully this week I'm going to post it. It's in the plans. So that's one goal for next 2 weeks. It's record the first podcast episode.
Okay.
I know that you use Podbean. I signed up for Buzzsprout just because my brother recommended it, and it's what a lot of people use.
Yeah, I think
And it
that's
doesn't
one of
have,
the popular ones.
yeah. So I'm trying that out as well.
What
And yeah, we'll
about
see how it goes.
Chris? Could you read? Because if you're gonna post 4 YouTube videos a month, are any of the other videos like not that reliant on visual? Because if they're not, you might be able to repurpose more of them, right? Obviously, your teardowns require video.
Yeah.
But if any of the other ones, like for example, your what is copywriting video
Yeah,
that you
true.
posted, so keep that in mind, right? One of the good things about podcasting is if you're already doing mid to long range videos, like those might just be easy episodes right there, right? But anyways,
Yeah,
just food for thought.
the thing is, I wanted to kind of consider this as its own separate product. So
Right, unless
like
you're
a
doing
founder's
that
podcast.
theme, yeah, like hey,
Yeah.
in this podcast show I do
So
X.
I'm probably
Yeah.
trying to keep it separate and just like talk about this stuff, and just because maybe it will grow on its own and it's going to be a separate thing. I don't want it to be like conflicting, mixed up. I just want to be pretty clear, pretty specific value proposition, and people understand what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And starting with one a month should be fine. We'll see.
Right. All right. So record first podcast episode. What
Yeah,
else we
so
got?
the other thing that I decided this morning as I was finishing up my review, which is what you already went through, it's basically to transition my daily newsletter into weekly, and you'll get the email today.
Transition
Actually,
to-
after this call is going out. Basically, I just realized that I want to kind of explore the content side, like YouTube and all the podcast stuff, a bit more. And it's still, even though I've been able to reduce the time that it takes me every day to write that, like to 20, 30 minutes, with repurposing as well, I still realize that it's kind of a barrier, and it didn't get as much return as I thought. And also I got a lot of feedback from people saying it's a bit overwhelming getting it every day. I have to save it for like the end of the week. So at the end of the day, I think probably sending one a week, that it's also going to be probably a bit more crisp and practical, because I collect ideas throughout the week, and then at the end of the week I'm going to write it.
Mhm.
I think it's probably going to be best, and also will allow me to get those 2 hours, 2.5 hours extra per week that I can dedicate to the other stuff.
Yeah.
So
I think it makes sense. I've thought a little bit about it, right? Because there's a lot of people that have obviously made daily email work really well. But I think number one is like you really got to get good at writing very short but yet still entertaining emails, right? Like Ben being the best, Ben Settle being the best example of it, where he probably writes those in 10 minutes, right? Part of that is obviously practice, right? He's been doing it for a while, but you know, it's the classic saying, right? I would have wrote a shorter letter, but I didn't have enough time. And then secondly, I think too is depending on what you're upselling, right? Like if you're upselling services, you know, the more clients you get from the email list, the more time you have to spend servicing those clients, right? So then it's like this weird vicious circle. Well, I guess virtuous cycle, but the more clients you have, the less time you have to write the emails, right? So maybe the daily email actually works best if you have scalable like digital products, right? Like Ben Settle does, right? So like it makes sense. If like everything on the back end is automated and fully scalable, then yeah, it makes it so much easier to write more emails because, you know, whether 10 or 100 people buy, you don't have more work. which is another reason why it's such a great business model, right? But maybe what you and I are doing right now, daily email, isn't a perfect fit for it. I do eventually want to get back to it. I don't know about you or what you're thinking, but like if you can eventually, shift everything over to like digital products one day, then it may make more sense to go back to daily email. But anyways, you don't have to convince me, right? Because I did the same thing, right? I shifted back to weekly. I think weekly's kind of like the standard, quote unquote, right now, right? Like on average, email lists have obviously gotten super popular in like the last 2-ish years, and weekly seems to be the average. But anyways, makes total sense.
Yeah, I also think that daily email makes sense once you're kind of already established. Because think about it, like people get on your website and maybe they don't know you, they don't know who they are, maybe they got referred from another newsletter, they land on your website and say, oh, daily email, already they don't know you, they start thinking, who's this guy? Maybe, well, let's do a test and sign up and see how it goes. I think a lot of people, and I saw it from the stats, they might sign up if they see that it's interesting, but the it's going to be a lot of churn if they don't know you, if you're still like an unknown personality. Like Ben Settle, a lot of people sign up to his email, to the daily list, because they know that it's Ben Settle. It's like this huge guy, it's a huge brand. So the trust and the authority, I think, counts a lot when you're doing daily emails.
Right.
And for people, like when they don't know you, probably a weekly email is less of a commitment.
Yeah.
And people tend to stay on longer.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so that makes sense to me. So we have record first podcast episode, transition to weekly email. Anything else?
No, I'll just keep it to these two, just because for the transition I'm gonna have a lot of stuff to do. Like I want to redesign the template, I have to kind of change the landing pages and stuff, and also my mom is visiting.
Oh, nice.
So, and not a lot of time extra.
All right.
So I'll keep it those two.
Can you read out my 3? Because I have this doc open and I can't go back.
Josh goes 30 plus cold calls per day, cross promo outreach on letter growth, Discord, the channel, and figure out fundraising option.
Write this down.
Yeah.
Okay, so the cold calling's going well on the days that I have enough time to do it. So like the ironic thing is, like, as we get busier and get more clients, I have less time to do more outreach. So I haven't met the 30 every day. Part of it is like some days I'll wake up and have like 8 demos booked with clients, right? Which is the goal, right? That's why we cold call, so we can set up demos. So I think we actually had a pretty good couple weeks, but we're getting some growing pains, right? Which is like if your sales team is one person, like it is for us right now, it's like the better things get, the less time you have for the top of funnel stuff. So I might adjust that to 20 plus per day. I'm gonna obviously try to get 30 plus any day I can, but like today, I have like 6 or 7 demos booked. I'm not going to have time. The problem is then you got to prep a few.
How long is a demo?
On average, so here's the thing. The call on average is like 30 to 35 minutes. It can be a little bit shorter. More often than not, if they go well, it's a little bit longer. It's more like 35 to 45 minutes. But the problem is, like, I spend a few minutes beforehand preparing, right? Checking out their website, maybe their LinkedIn, blah, blah, blah. And then also after, right? Follow-up email, taking notes in HubSpot, that kind of stuff. So every demo ends up eating up like 50 to 60 minutes of time, which is fine, right? That's doing business, right? But like every demo that I have per day is kind of like 50-ish minutes that I don't have to do cold calling, right? So the other thing is we really prioritize customer success. So, with a lot of our paying clients, we'll do a bi-weekly or a monthly check-in call and stuff like that. So, for example, one day I might wake up and have like 1, 2, or 3 check-in calls with our clients, right? Which is, again, this is the price of doing business, and I'm happy that we're moving in that direction. but it obviously eats into time. I'll segue that into we are going to raise a little bit of money. We're in near the end of our talks with a bunch of our current investors to raise a little bit more money, which is awesome because again, we're at the point where we kind of know that we need a couple more people, right? We can continue kind of at our current pace, but we think we could move much faster with even like one or two more hires. So hopefully within the 2 weeks, we'll have that over and done with. So I'll put 20 plus cold calls. We'll say close the fundraising round. I think at the very least we should be able to get the documents signed. I don't know if we'll have everything finalized and money in the bank. That's kind of out of my control. But I think we'll be able to have most of the important stuff done. And I'm going to keep the letter growth Discord outreach on there. I wasn't really able to because we had such a hectic 2 weeks. And then I was at my bachelor party from Thursday to Sunday, which I'm still recovering from. And next weekend, I'm actually going to New York because I have a few really good friends there. So I usually go once a summer just for a weekend. Nice. So yeah, that'll be good. Things are going pretty well overall. I've definitely been happy switching to the weekly email. I think
how's that going? Are you getting a couple of replies or compared to before?
Not many replies. I think part of it is I probably haven't trained the list well enough, or I never.
Did you see the open rate go up at least?
The open rate has stayed very strong. So what else? And maybe on average has gone up a little bit. Let me pull up.
Yeah, I would expect, and I'm curious to see with mine. I would expect it to go up because with the daily, a lot of people might not open it daily. Mine actually went down from when I had 100 subs. It was 50%, and then now that it's around 300, it's down to 36%, and that's normal.
Yeah.
Which I think is still pretty good for a daily email, but I'm curious to see hopefully going up when it goes weekly.
Yeah, I just pulled up my thingy. If I go back to when I was daily, I'd say on average it looks like it was around 35 to 43% on average. And since then, when I shifted to weekly, it has gone up. It's kind of mid 40s. One email had a 51% open rate. So yeah, I wouldn't say huge, but I'd say maybe a 5%-ish increase. I also think that there's a higher click rate from what I'm seeing. I'm just looking roughly at the data, which is good. I also think I'm being a little bit more intentional with having proper calls to action. But yeah, I think, I don't know if you agree with this, but I think after you spend a few years building businesses, really of any kind, you kind of become, I'll put in quotations, you kind of become one with the business, and you can kind of feel what you need to do, you could probably feel within the last few weeks this daily email's kind of irking me, and I don't know if it's the right direction for right now, and part of it is numbers, and part of it is calendar and goals, and part of it's just that gut feeling of I don't think this is the best way to spend my time, but yeah.
Yeah, with the weekly as well, you kind of create some a bit more expectations, expectancy, from your list. So in theory, they should look forward more to getting your email and seeing what you're up to, just because they don't hear from you for a whole week. So we'll see how it goes.
Alrighty. You want to move on to tools and books of the week?
Tools and books. I haven't finished any book this week, which is rare, just because I was in New York. But I'm reading The Attention Merchants, which is an interesting overview again at advertising and capturing attention, but from the other side. So the side of advertising, I wouldn't say negative in a negative way, but in a way that captures people's attention sometimes when they're unwilling to give it away. So uh, I would say I would probably recommend this Real Madmen book and The Attention Merchants, just to get the two different perspectives. One
Hmm.
kind of looks at copywriting, advertising from the lens of the art, the craft, how it works, how it evolved, and the other one, how it captures attention, how it monopolizes attention, and also how it evolved through all the different media.
Right. All right. I have those
It's
in the
pretty
show
good.
notes. So if anybody listening and watching, just check the description after this, and you'll see those names there. On my end, I'm still reading. So I'm still reading the 48 Laws of Power. It's just such a big, dense book. I'm finding it very entertaining. Like, it's a good read. It's kind of like a more interesting textbook, right? So, like, those
Yeah.
textbook style book, like, you know, I normally don't love the textbook type of books, but this one's actually very good. But the problem is just like every page is packed with so much text and story that it's just kind of a slow read. And some nights I'm just like not in the mood for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm still reading it. I want to finish it. One thing I might do is just like skip to more of the lessons that apply more to me. Because like some of them I read and they just like don't really apply to me right now. So maybe what I'll do is, and curious to get your thoughts, because I think you've read the book, right?
Actually, half of
Okay,
it.
okay. So you can relate then,
Yeah.
I guess. So what I
Yeah.
might do is just like skip to the lessons I want to read right now and keep it more as like a reference. You know what I mean? For
Yeah.
down the road. And so I picked up Shoe Dog again. I read Shoe Dog like every 2 years. And I was just like, okay, I need a biography. I need to get back to like a business biography. So I'm reading that again. I mean, I think it's one of the all-time greats, right? If you want to read a business biography or autobiography, it's
Yeah.
probably one of the better books I've ever read, especially in that genre. Um, so I'll mention those in the show notes. And then in terms of tools, Shoe Dog, I've been using I found this really cool new AI short snippet creator called Video. Again, I'll put it in the description. Video.ai. I've tried a couple of them. I think I even mentioned a few others on previous episodes, but this is the one I'm liking the most right now. Where you basically, and Chris, you should look into it if you're going to get into more YouTube videos. You copy paste a YouTube video, or you drag and drop a video file, and it will auto generate clips that you can, delete, edit, pick, download, and then I think it also has like an AI description generator. I haven't used that because I'm still in the free trial, but it's been really good, right? Because what I do is I take this podcast or I take my immigration podcast and I chop it up and I post them on social, and it's been really helpful for that. So I'll link to it in the description. The free plan is pretty good. Give it a try, and I earn nothing from it. I'm not affiliated whatsoever. But Video, if you're out there, let me know. We can talk shop. Anyways, so that's
Yeah, I've
my
been
book and
using
tool of the week.
I've been using that Opus again for the short snippets.
What do you think of it?
Yeah, like 50% of the video are quite good. So
Yeah.
if you don't want to spend anything and just get your short snippet, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I think Video's a little bit better. I think they're both going to... I'll link to both in the description. I think they're both pretty good, and both of them are going to get better, but I really like the UX of Video better. If I could compare the two, I'd say Opus is probably better at picking the right timestamps to create snippets of, but I think that Video, the snippet editing, like post-production editing and downloading and stuff, makes it much easier. I
What's the
don't...
design of the caption like? Is it the same?
Well, you can kind of just pick, right? You pick a theme. So it's like, okay, what's the background color? What's the text? Blah, blah, blah. But then you can edit all of it, right? You can edit the text, color, you can edit the font, blah, blah, blah. So again, I find like on average, the Opus clips that they pick are a little bit better, but then it's harder and takes longer to edit them and finalize them and download them and like rename them and stuff like that. But anyways, I recommend trying both. They both have a good free trial, and you'll see for yourself. I also think both are going to get much better right over the next like 6-12 months as they improve features and the AI stuff gets better. So anyways,
speaking of video, I actually posted my second video. I don't know if you saw it, but I posted it when I was in New York. And it's kind of a mix of me speaking to the camera and screen shares.
Okay,
So
what's the top? Build a 6-figure copywriting business?
Yeah, it's about productivity basically. So showing tools, how I manage
98
projects.
views, okay. Let me
I'm seeing videos actually going like organically without me doing anything. Like there's a lot of like views are going up, so the trend is positive, and that's why I also want to focus a bit more on that rather than the newsletter.
Right.
But yeah, I found this pretty good editor through Upwork, so we're working pretty well together.
What are you doing for like? Are you doing any SEO for like?
Yeah.
Title and description.
I use vidIQ basically for the research, and for the tags and everything, so to get ideas.
Yeah, your copywriting video has 180 views. This one has 98 views from 5 days.
Yeah.
I like the thumbnails.
That's the editor as well. He makes those.
Yeah. Cool.
Even though speaking with Sergey, he recommended the thumbnails to be simpler and also a bit more on brand, using my colors and everything. Those look quite good because they are distinctive, but they are a bit crowded and kind of generic as far as colors, like a bit of the same as you see everywhere else. So it's not super recognizable.
I mean, that's not a bad thing, right? You see them everywhere else for a reason, because they work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that makes sense. All right. Anything else before we get on with our day?
No, we're all good.
Alrighty.
In the works.
So I will save those goals for the next episode. For those of you watching,
I'm going to be in Italy.
All right, we'll talk about that off air.
Yeah.
If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe. We do record this live, so if you're subscribed, you could actually tune in and watch the episode live as we record it. If you're listening and you want to watch, then check us out on YouTube. The link, I think, is always in the description. Otherwise, any subscribes and reviews and all that stuff is super helpful. Other than that, we will be live in about 2 weeks for episode number 13, and that's it. Chris, everything good on your end?
Yep, all good.
Alrighty. Have a great week, everyone, and we will see you in the next episode. Alrighty.